Welcome back everyone, this is Mindy Eggen. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a DIY ink pad technique that I learned from watching Jennifer McGuire. I thought it would be a really great technique to use with this new Embroidered Flowers stamp set from Gina K Designs. So here's a look at that large 6x8 Embroidered Flowers stamp set. You could see there are a ton of floral images on here, small sentiments. There's also an image of a needle. And then I do also have here, this is the Scripty Encouragement stamp set. This is actually the incentive stamp set that you can get free with a $75 purchase over at Gina K Designs. I'm going to be using some Tranquil Teal cardstock and the Heavyweight in White cardstock, and some reinkers that I'll be using. These are from Gina K Designs as well. I'll be using Lucky Clover, Grass Green, Sweet Corn, Tranquil Teal, and Sea Glass. And then I'll also be using some of the comfort blocks. To do the DIY ink pad technique, you are going to need some baby wipes. I happen to have on hand some Pampers baby wipes. So I'm taking 3 of them and just folding them in half, layering them on top of one another. And I'm going to be working on, this is actually the craft sheet off of the Tim Holtz Glass Media Mat. It was just a perfect size to put off on the side so the ink from the reinkers doesn't seep through onto my black mat. I'm going to be working on one of the pieces of cardstock I have here is the Heavyweight in White from Gina K Designs. Really nice heavyweight cardstock. So true to its name. And I'm taking that Embroidered Flowers stamp set and just picking out the images that I'm going to use so that they're handy for me right there. Now, one thing I forgot to do was stamp an impression onto the baby wipe of the stamp that I'm going to use. That would just give you an idea of how big the area is going to be. I forgot to do that step, but this still worked out. I just took the Tranquil Teal, which is the darkest color. I had added it to the middle and surrounded it with the sea glass ink. And then down here for the leaves, I am using the Lucky Clover, Grass Green, and Sweet Corn. And I'm just adding a little bit down there. I thought that Sweet Corn would be just a really nice burst of color. I actually wish I would have went a little lighter instead of the sea glass, but it all works out beautifully. So then I have one of the floral images onto a comfort block, and I'm just patting that up and down on top of that reinker that I had placed on the baby wipe, and then I can stamp that over onto my cardstock. And it's going to give this beautiful two-tone effect. It is just so gorgeous. I was so happy how this technique worked out for this stamp set. And I will continue to do that with the leaves and the other flower images that I have on here. One of the leaves here, I moved where I'm stamping, so I'm picking up more of the yellow. And that just really brightened up the card. So there is a closer look at the ink while it's still wet, and it's just a beautiful effect with this. So I'm going to continue doing this. I did speed up the video, but I did leave everything in so you can see me create this. Now this pattern, I prep my cards beforehand, so I already had created this card off screen. So I'm just going off of my card as far as the pattern that I had laid out, just stamping that to create my own patterned background. I will be cutting this cardstock down, but I'd like to complete the whole piece of cardstock that I have just in case I change my mind. So this cardstock here, the white one, is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And just going through, alternating between the different leaves, the vines, and the flower images. I did bring in a tulip, which is super cute. There are also some larger images on the stamp set as well. So this is just a really beautiful stamp set that Melanie had designed. Like I said, there's also a needle with some thread that you can stamp so it looks like you were in the middle of stitching, which I thought was really super cute. And I'm also going to link down below Jennifer's original video too if you wanted to take a look at that, since that is where my inspiration came from. Now, since I did have so much ink there, I went ahead and created some extras just I can have on hand for future cards. And then here is my completed panel. Now that I'm done with those baby wipes, I can just fold them up and throw it away. And you'll be able to see there was a little bit of ink that bled through, and I can just wipe that up with a paper towel. Now I have here the Tranquil Teal cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. A piece of white cardstock I trimmed down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, which is what I'm going to trim this patterned paper I created down to. So I'm taking a quarter of an inch off of each side, and then I'm going to do that for the top and the bottom as well, a quarter of an inch off of each end. So it will end up measuring 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Then I'm going to tilt that and cut it at an angle. Now you'll be able to see here that's going to line up perfectly with my white cardstock there. And there's a little bit of room where I can add a sentiment, but on that Embroidered Flowers stamp set is a little dot. So I'm just taking some Obsidian ink with a comfort block and adding them in between the flowers. I thought that just created a little bit more interest to my background. I'm going to use my Mini Misty tool to help align my sentiment. I'm taking that white panel, lining it up, and then just using this as a placeholder for my sentiment, that patterned piece. And like I said, this is the Scripty Encouragement stamp set. This is the incentive stamp set. So with a $75 purchase, you will receive this for free. And these are just gorgeous sentiments in this Scripty font. I really liked this one because the top part there is kind of straight. So it helped me line up my sentiment a little bit. And then just be sure to remove your pattern paper so you don't get any ink on that. All that hard work you don't want to go to waste. So I stamped that down in the Obsidian ink. And then I'm going to line the back of that pattern panel with some foam tape. That's just going to create a little bit of lift to the card. So after I have all of the foam tape attached to the back, I'll remove all the backing pieces and line that up with my white panel that I had already attached to the Tranquil Teal cardstock. So that gives just a little bit of lift and is just a really great look. I love how this technique turned out. And I also had created a card prior where I had just stamped the flowers in the Dusty Rose ink from Gina K Designs, which also came out just as gorgeous. So that's just another option, is just stamping it straight on. All the supplies I used in today's video will be listed down below in the video description and over on my blog as well. And I have more inspiration on my blog, so be sure to check that out. Thank you so much for visiting, and I'll see you soon.